Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to talk about what I'm reading recently. I had every intentions of just doing a February wrap-up, you know, as scheduled, as normal, but as you can tell, if you were to look at the calendar, it is March 11th and I still haven't filmed this because I've been struggling. I have not been reading a ton. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. This time of year is a real struggle for me. February is not my time. I can barely get my job done, let alone read a book at the moment. The only thing getting me through is basically playing Stardew Valley on my Switch. That's all I've been doing. But I'm trying to get back into it. I did read 4 books in February, so we're gonna chat about those. I'm currently reading 2 books, both of which I'm like 60 or 70% done with at this point. So we're getting back in the swing of it. Pretty sure that I have a clip talking about the first book that I read in February, which is Book Lovers. Hey y'all, this one really surprised me, like a lot. This one, I get it a little bit. It's still not my preferred. However, the aspect of it being book lovers and the 2 characters bonding over editing, writing, publishing, I did enjoy. It's nothing too in-depth and heavy. Like, you're not getting a lot of technicalities about the publishing world or anything. I actually would have preferred a little bit more of that. I think that generally helped with the amount that I like this. I wouldn't say that the 2 main characters I completely loved, but I liked them together. And that is really for romance for me. If I just don't believe it and I don't feel the chemistry, if I don't understand why these 2 people would ever like each other, it throws me out of it. This, I felt like, worked. I was very skeptical in the beginning of this because Emily Henry starts this book out basically calling out rom-com, chick lit, like romantic literary tropes. And I was like, girl, you have some balls to be calling this out in the beginning of your contemporary romance book. Because if you don't deliver, I'm gonna mock the shit out of you for this book. Not make fun of it, but if you're gonna call it out and say that it can be very contrived and predictable and, oh, it's a trope, everyone knows it, it's the unemotional businesswoman, everyone knows how that trope goes, and you better step up above that and not just use that as your plot point for this whole book. And I will say, I was surprised. I actually liked it. I was like, are you gonna just mock the reader? Are you gonna mock me the whole time? Being like, yeah, these tropes exist and they're corny and you're gonna eat that shit up anyway. And I don't like that. It was obvious that some of these were the tropes, like the carefree, bubbly, cutesy younger sister. It does kind of self-fulfill that trope prophecy that she's calling out in the beginning. But like I said, it just didn't bother me in this. I think that she did it in a good way. I think this could have had a bit more spice in a contemporary romance. I do like a bit more of that, but the spicy moments that did happen were pretty good. I did enjoy all the references to bookshops and reading and things like that. I didn't think it was too fan service-y. I found that this did have a lot of good discussions about family relationships as well and how that kind of trauma can pour into your romantic relationships. Wasn't too much, wasn't too heavy. I think it worked just for a cute time. I had every intention of reading a bunch of cute romances for Valentine's Day. That did not happen. As far as straight romance goes, I have said it before, probably in like every video on this channel so far, contemporary romance is not my jam. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was just the mood that I was in and this just worked for me in the moment. I also really related to the main character because she is that typical kind of cold older sister archetype that I just can relate to quite a bit. I am an older sister. I tend to have a bit more of a serious, kind of harsh outlook on things. I'm very just to the point. I don't actually enjoy really reading about work at all. Workplace romances, not for me, because it's like people who are working remote and they're working in the literary publishing industry. That all was enough for me to make it interesting. All of those cringy things that I don't like about romance were in here, but I liked the setting and the characters, and their banter was pretty good. I like those things enough that it kind of overshadowed the cringe for me. So I gave it 4 stars. I won't be reading any more Emily Henry, I don't think. I have read one of her other books. Couldn't tell you which one. People We Meet on Vacation, I want to say. I honestly couldn't tell you one single thing about the other Emily Henry that I read. I'm just going to take the win with this one, and I'm going to leave Emily Henry at that, and just say that I liked Book Lovers, because I did. So, as I have mentioned, I am trying to read the Caraval Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy series. I started with Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I wasn't aware that you weren't supposed to do. So this month I did read Caraval on my Kindle, and I loved it. I gave this one a 4-star as well. It really kind of threw me back to reading The Night Circus, which is better. Don't get me wrong. Night Circus is like 5-star top tier book for me, whereas Caraval gave me those kind of vibes, but in an obviously more YA, a little bit more cheesy way. Enjoyed the twists and the turns. I enjoyed, again, the sister relationship, the setting as usual. I think Stephanie Garber just really does a good job of really elaborate, over the top descriptions and settings that I personally really like. I just feel like I vibe with that style. I was really drawn to the mysterious legend who is like the ringmaster, if you will. I really enjoy that kind of story in books. I love when there's an elusive kind of evil ringmaster where you're trying to find out who they are and what's going on. I love the blurring of the lines of reality and fantasy. That's something that I love in books. This was a 4-star for me, a very strong 4-star. I think that I will continue to really like these books. Very just vibrant. So I've read now the first in each of the series. Really loved them both, I will say. And then right now I am listening to the second book in the series, Legendary, on audiobook. And that's been really fun as well. Audiobooks are very hit and miss for me. This one is good on audiobook. That's just what I needed right now. I need to just get back in like listening and reading overall. There's shows and theatrics and boys and dress up and things like that. It's all just very fast paced and fun. That's one of my 2 books that I have in rotation right now. Okay, so let's talk about House of Flame and Shadow, because I don't even know what to say about this. This was such a disappointing read for me. That's to say that I didn't have really high hopes, because Crescent City overall is my least favorite of the Sarah J. Maas universe books. I find it to be very messy. She herself has lost the plot because there's so many plots in this book. There are so many things going on. You're jumping POVs a lot, which I love. I think it keeps it going a lot faster. Thank God this had that, because if it didn't, if this was just in Bryce's POV, I would have DNF'd this and I would have said I was done with Crescent City, to be very honest, because the multiple POVs does keep it going and keeping it interesting. But my issue was that half of the POVs I did not enjoy. I wanted to bang my head against a wall reading half of these POVs. There's too much going on. There are too many characters. There are too many random subplots going on, and by the end of this, it didn't all come together. It wasn't satisfying. It didn't make any sense. And I enjoyed the first 250, 300 pages, and I actually was breezing through it quite fast because I was excited to be back in the world. I was excited to be reintroduced to Rune. My love, Rune and Lydia were obviously, this is not an unpopular opinion, they carried this book, and they even had stupid moments. As with every single Crescent City that I have read, it doesn't need to be 850 pages. So much of this is just repeated over and over. Spoiler warning, the Akajar crossover was so wasted. The cliffhanger from book 2 was so big and so intense. For what? For what? For Nessa to be chasing Bryce around in a cave for 250 pages? That's all all that happened. Like, Bryce was just so annoying as she is. To be honest, I've always found Bryce annoying. I don't enjoy her kind of character archetype that's just like, everything is badass and I have great tits and ass and I'm cool and I wear pink sneakers and I have superpowers, and it's very cringe to me. Bryce and Hunt, their romance, where? Overall, the urban fantasy is really not my favorite unless it is like in a sci-fi dystopian way. In this, where there's like iPhones and talk of and shit, and then you're also trying to tell me that all these people are so all-knowing and all-powerful and all these things. Elemental magic, there's mind reading, there's black holes, there's time jumping, and it doesn't make any sense. It's just too much. I gave this 3 stars because I enjoy the world building. Like, I really do. And I enjoy, like I said, Rune and Lydia. I really love. Am I glad I read it? Sure, because I'm kind of a completionist and I just want to know what's happening. Then I also read A Study in Drowning on my Kindle. And this one started out very strong, actually. I really liked the dark, moody landscape that this was set up in. As the title suggests, this is kind of set in an area where there's like a flood, where a drowning was like a major historical event. There's a lot of cool descriptions of obviously wet, moist, damp, rotting, decaying, like by the sea, right? Cool houses like at the top of a cliff, and it's like misty and damp. Really cool descriptions that really gives like a visceral reaction where you're just like, okay, this means something in the book. The drowning and the water and the sea all is gonna serve a purpose for this plot, right? No. When the plot goes on, it actually has nothing to do with that. It's all just the setting, and it's so wasted because it was really written beautifully, and I was expecting it to be more like Belladonna, which I felt like the setting and those kind of descriptions, it felt like sentient. It felt like an integral, like it felt a part of the story. It actually had something to do with the plot. That was not the case in A Study in Drowning. This also had, obviously, again, by the title, that aspect of literary kind of rivals, the 2 students who are doing research and they're trying to write basically a thesis on this author. And again, none of the drowning, the sea, the whatever, none of it was relevant to the actual mystery plot line. Unless I completely missed that, I felt like this was almost like a fever dream of a book that I read because of the setting and everything. I was not 100% there when I was reading it. Felt like a lot of wasted potential. By the end, I was like, okay, so what's all the deal with the drowning? Like, why are we so concerned with all this water levels and things rotting? And it's just all over the place, honestly. It just didn't really make sense. It has a lot of potential. All the elements were really there for this, but it didn't come together in the end, and it really made no sense to me, honestly. But I did have a decent time reading it. I'm someone who just enjoys the vibe, but there were a lot of elements of this that I felt like just really fell flat. There was also elements of discussing like sexism and sexual assault within academia. There's also issues of like prejudice and bigotry in this as well. But both of those themes and messages I felt like were not handled well. Not to say that I had any like major problems with it. I kind of felt a little unsettled reading it, and not in like a, again, I'm comparing this kind of to Belladonna, not in a good, unsettled, like entertaining way, kind of in like a gross way. Wasn't my favorite. It had a lot of things going for it, but by the end, I feel like it really fell flat. And then I also wanted to just update you. I'm also reading the sequel of Red Rising, and I'm struggling with this one. It's very political, very war-centered. It's basically space war. I think it's really well done, just like I think Red Rising was well done. Like, I think it's good, but I'm struggling with it personally right now. I'm kind of forcing myself to get through it because I had the library loan. I don't really think it's a testament to the book. I think it's just my reading habits at the moment and my lack of concentration and my lack of patience. Hopefully within the next couple days, I can finish both of those books and have something to show for my March. At the moment, I haven't finished a single book this month yet, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. I try and give myself grace during this time of year because I always know that it ends. When summer comes around, when my birthday comes around, I do a 180 and I'm like a whole different person. Let myself have a break, let myself not read if I don't want to, but also still try and keep myself at least a little bit accountable because I love it, right? But right now, like I said, farming is on my mind. Digital pixel farming is the only thing that's really giving my brain serotonin right now. So that's my reading update for the moment. Let me know in the comments what you have been reading recently. I'd love to know how your reading is going, if you kind of also get in a little bit of a slump and mental health dip this time of year. If you do, just know that you're not alone. Sunshine and summer is coming. So thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. If you want to chat with me about books anytime, you can just leave me a comment. I've been really appreciating all the support on the channel recently. I will see y'all in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.